All right, now we are going to take our production budget and figure out how much we need in direct materials. In this case, we say each lamp that we're going to produce requires 2 pounds of metal. And metal costs $4 per pound. Management wants to maintain an ending direct materials inventory equal to 20% of the next quarter's production needs. And this is going to start with how much do we need to produce that quarter. So let's say for quarter one, we are going to produce 5,100 lamps. Now, where did we get that? That came directly from the production budget. So we are going to put that right in there. And the 6,200 is going to go into the beginning of quarter two there. All right. So we know that. All right, and this is going to be very similar to the production budget, how we calculate all of these things. For example, with the production budget, we said, well, how much do we have in ending inventory? Well, with direct materials, we say, all right, how much do we want in ending direct materials inventory? And in this case, the production budget management said we just want 10%. For direct materials, they want a little bit more of a stockpile, so they said 20%. Now, so we need, sorry, I think I skipped ahead, because we need to translate this into pounds of metal that we need. So each lamp requires 2 pounds of metal. So this is direct materials per lamp. So we're going to multiply that by 2 pounds per lamp. So we have 10,200 pounds of metal for the first quarter and 12,400 pounds of metal for the second quarter that we are going to use making these lamps. All right, so at this point, it's going to look very similar to what we have with the production budget, where we say, all right, how much do we need in ending inventory? This is where management said we want to be a little bit more conservative. We want 20% of the next quarter's needs on hand at the end. All right, so we need 20% of the 12,400. So we're going to use 12,400 pounds of metal the next quarter. So we want 20% of that on hand at the end of the first quarter, which means 2,480. So total materials needed are 12,680. And again, just like the production budget, we might have something on hand at the beginning that we don't actually need to buy. In this case, they said that we started with 2,040 pounds. And that gets us, how much material do we need to buy this quarter? 10,640. Let's translate that to dollars now. And each one costs the metal costs $4 per pound. And so that translates to $42,560 for the first quarter. All right, let's do the same for the second quarter. Our ending inventory was So we were given the Q3, so we would have had to keep going to figure out how much we need to produce in Q3. We're going to say that we need 7,900 units for Q3. Okay. Now 7,900 units for Q3 translates to, let's just do a little bit of math here. It's 15,800 pounds of metal that we need for Q3. So we need 20% of that on hand, which means 3,160. Now, where would we usually get this number? This would be if we actually did a Q3 column over here. So we would need to do the Q3 column. If you're not doing the Q3, it needs to be given to you in the problem. And that's what it was here. We were given that we, for Q3, we are going to produce 7,900 units. So we are given that, but we still need to translate that into pounds, which is 15,800. And so we need 20% of the 15,800 on hand, which is 3,160 pounds of metal. Okay. So the total that we need is, add those two together, is 15,560. And then we'll subtract our beginning inventory, which, remember, where did that come from? That's ending inventory of the last time. So that's the 2,480. Which means we need to purchase 13,080 pounds during the second quarter. Again, let's translate that to dollars. $4 per pound. That's 52,320. All right, let's do a total column because we usually need to do that. The total that we need to produce was 11,300, 2 pounds each. And sorry, I need to get my calculator out. So 11,300 times 2 is 22,600. Ending inventory, just like the production budget, this is coming from what is our total ending inventory, and that's the 3,160. So our total needed is 25,760. Our beginning inventory is the very beginning, so that's coming from the beginning of Q1. So 2,040. And we subtract that. So the total that we need to purchase is 23,720. Now, if we did it right, the 10,640 plus the 13,080 should equal 23,720. And we can again multiply this by $4 to get 94,880. And that should equal, again, our total cost from Q1 and Q2. All right, so this is, again, the direct materials budget. What this does is it tells us how much indirect materials do we need to purchase every quarter so that we can manufacture the lamps that we are planning on manufacturing.